For over 2 decades, the Heart Attack Grill stood at the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street and dared you to eat yourself to death. It was honest about this. The slogan was printed on the wall. And then one morning in May 2026, the doors closed. And for once, the cause of death wasn't the bypass burger. So, today we're taking a look at why Heart Attack Grill flatlined. If you need the full story of how John Basso went from Jenny Craig franchisee to self-proclaimed Dr. John of the world's most medically irresponsible restaurant, Weird History Food covered it in a previous video, and it's worth watching. The short version, Basso got sued by In-N-Out over the name of his fitness studios, decided the health and wellness industry was a fraud, and opened a hamburger restaurant in Tempe, Arizona in 2005 that was specifically designed to be as unhealthy as possible and completely transparent about it. The hospital theme, the nurses, the hospital gowns, the bypass burger, single through octuple, the free meals for anyone over 350 pounds, provided they got on a scale in front of the entire restaurant, the wheelchair rides to the parking lot for anyone who finished, the flatliner fries, cooked in lard. All of it was built on the premise that at least Basso wasn't lying to you about what you were getting into. In 2011, Basso moved the operation to Las Vegas, which was, in retrospect, the obvious destination for a restaurant built on the philosophy that adults should be allowed to make terrible decisions freely. It became a landmark, a spectacle, a place people visited specifically to take photos and tell the story later. The timing, in retrospect, was perfect. Instagram launched in 2010, the year before the Heart Attack Grill arrived in Vegas, and a new kind of dining culture was taking shape, one where the experience of the meal mattered as much as the meal itself. And the more outrageous the food, the better the content. A 9,900-calorie burger served by a nurse to a man in a hospital gown isn't really lunch as much as it is a potentially viral post. In other words, the Heart Attack Grill was built for the social media era, before anyone knew what the social media era was going to look like. But on May 19th, 2026, Basso announced he was done. The Heart Attack Grill would not be renewing its lease. The closure, however, had nothing to do with the burgers. According to Basso, for years, I've watched the Las Vegas tourist sector morph into a machine designed to overcharge hard-working people for absolutely everything. On the restaurant's website, the statement was even more direct. The soul of Las Vegas has been replaced by corporate greed. Right, the soul of Las Vegas, the city that was literally built by mobsters, designed to separate people from their money as efficiently as possible in a desert where nothing else would grow. Vegas has never exactly been above greed. What it was, for a long time, was honest about it. You knew the house always won. You just also got a prime rib tower for $12 while it was winning. People will undoubtedly find it hilarious, Basso added, that the villain who spent years playfully trying to make them fat has suddenly developed a conscience about robbing them of their hard-earned money. He's not wrong that it's funny. He's also not wrong about the broader problem. To understand what Basso was describing, it helps to remember what Las Vegas used to be. The buffet didn't just become associated with Vegas, it was invented there. In 1946, Belden Cattleman, owner of the El Rancho Vegas, the first casino on the Strip, was trying to solve a simple problem. How do you keep gamblers from leaving the building at midnight to find something to eat? His solution was to set out a spread of cold cuts and hot dishes and charge a flat dollar, about $11 in today's money, for all you could eat. He called it the Buckaroo Buffet and advertised it as food to appease the howling coyote in your innards. It worked so well that every other casino on the Strip copied it within years. The logic was pure and elegant. The food was not the product. You were. Keep you fed, keep you in the building, keep you at the tables.
In the casino, the cardinal rule is to keep them playing and keep them coming back. The longer they play, the more they lose. In the end, we get it all.
The buffet was a loss leader from the beginning, a calculated bet that the money gamblers spent on the floor would more than cover the cost of the shrimp towers. For decades, it did. By the 1970s, the Caesars Palace buffet was $2.75. By the 1980s, prices started creeping up as food became an experience rather than a pit stop. Then in 1993, the Rio kicked off the era of the Super Buffet. 200 or more items, international cuisine, the full excess treatment, and every major casino followed suit. the Bellagio Buffet, the Bacchanal at Caesars, the Village Seafood Buffet at the Rio, the Sterling Brunch at Bally's, widely regarded as one of the finest Sunday brunches in the country. The Sterling wasn't really a buffet in the traditional sense. It was held inside Bally's Steakhouse, ran Sunday mornings from 9:30 to 2:30, and required reservations, sometimes weeks out. The spread included sturgeon caviar, a raw bar of oysters, clams, crab claws and shrimp, whole-broiled Maine lobster, freshly prepared sushi, and hand-carved beef tenderloin, all attended by servers in black tie, with bottomless pours of Nicolas Fouillet champagne flowing from the moment you sat down. It ran for over 30 years and became the kind of place people planned entire Vegas trips around. You didn't stumble into the Sterling Brunch, you earned it. These weren't just places to eat, they were a core part of the Vegas value proposition. Yes, you might lose at blackjack, but you ate well, and the room was cheap, and the whole trip still made financial sense.
It's a buffet, man.
Oh, here's where I win all my money back.
Then came March 2020. Every casino in Las Vegas shut down. The buffets closed with everything else. And when the casinos eventually reopened, a funny thing happened. A lot of the buffets did not. The Carnival World Buffet at Rio, gone. The buffet at the Mirage, gone. The buffets at Paris, Las Vegas, Harrah's, Treasure Island, Planet Hollywood, and Mandalay Bay, all gone. The pandemic had provided a convenient moment to do something casino executives had been quietly considering for years: eliminate the lost leader. Buffets were never particularly profitable on their own. They existed to get bodies through the door. Once the pandemic gave operators an excuse to shut them down and run the numbers without them, many decided they liked the numbers better. The replacements told the story plainly. Aria didn't bring back its buffet. It opened Proper Eats, a food hall, in December of 2022. Resorts World opened Famous Foods Street Eats, a collection of high-end international food stalls. The format shifted from all-you-can-eat for $25 to curated experiences at prices that would once have seemed implausible for a casino food court. By late 2025, only about a dozen casino buffets remained in Las Vegas, down from dozens before the pandemic. South Point was the only one still open 7 days a week. The Bacchanal at Caesars held on, now starting at around $80 for dinner. The MGM Grand Buffet survived until May 31st, 2026, when it quietly closed. The same week as Nelly's Southern Kitchen down the hall, and across town, the Heart Attack Grill. The buffet didn't die because people stopped wanting it. It died because the people running the casinos stopped needing it. The buffets were only the beginning. In the spring of 2026, Las Vegas saw a wave of restaurant closures that felt less like a typical culling of the dining herd, a process Vegas had always handled with cheerful ruthlessness, and more like something structural giving way. Eater Las Vegas documented the run and called it, with some justification, a season of loss. Champagne's Cafe, a cocktail and karaoke bar on Maryland Parkway, had been operating in some form since 1966, first as Sundown Liquors, then the Inner Circle, reportedly a Rat Pack and mob favorite, then through several ownership changes before landing at Champagne's. Survived by Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and several seasons of Bar Rescue. Closed in February 2026, done in by a combination of lingering pandemic debt and a year of construction on the surrounding road that cut off the foot traffic it depended on. El Burro Borracho, Guy Fieri's Mexican cantina inside the Rio, closed abruptly in mid-March. Best known for its trash can nachos, which arrived in an actual trash can and tasted, depending on who you ask, exactly as good as that sounds. Blue Ribbon American Grill and Oyster Bar, which had operated at its location for 15 years and offered things like crab-stuffed sea bass and a Wagyu burger topped with oxtail marmalade, closed quietly after a run that by any reasonable standard should have lasted longer. Eggworks, a local breakfast institution that had been feeding Las Vegas since 1988, announced the closure of not one, but 2 locations within weeks of each other in the spring of 2026. As owner Brad Birdsall entered what he diplomatically called semi-retirement. It wasn't a dramatic exit. Eggworks still has locations operating, but 2 closures in a month from a beloved local chain reads as a signal. And then there was Nelly's Southern Kitchen at the MGM Grand, which closed on May 25th, 2026, the same week as the Heart Attack Grill, giving the city's food writers plenty to write about. Nelly's was owned by the parents of the Jonas brothers, Kevin Jonas Sr. and Denise Jonas. who opened it in 2022 and named it after the family's late great-grandmother, whose recipe anchored the menu. It lasted 3 years. MGM Grand said there are no immediate plans for the space. Celebrity restaurants failing in Las Vegas is not new. The list of famous names who've tried and lost is long and includes people who really should have known better. But the volume and pace of closures in early 2026 was different. This wasn't the normal churn. Something was going wrong at scale. John Basso was not the first person to make the argument he made in his closing statement. He was just the loudest, and the data backs him up. Las Vegas saw 38.5 million visitors in 2025, a drop of 3.1 million from 2024, a decline of about 7.5%. Hotel occupancy averaged 80.3%, down more than 3 points from the prior year. International visitors, particularly Canadians, declined by an estimated 24%. Harry Reid International Airport posted its sharpest monthly traffic decline of 2025 in November and never really recovered. And yet, here's the thing. Gaming revenue was roughly flat, which means the casinos were making the same money from fewer people. The math on that works one way. They were extracting more from each visitor, going after the high rollers, the whale demographic, the guests who book suites and drop 5 figures at the baccarat tables, the people who don't need a cheap buffet to make the trip feel worthwhile. The strategic shift was intentional and, in a narrow sense, rational. Post-pandemic, Las Vegas leaned hard into premium experiences, the Formula One Grand Prix, major concert residencies, championship boxing, the Super Bowl. The Sphere opened in 2023, a $2.3 billion, 20,000-seat immersive entertainment venue that seats fewer people than Madison Square Garden and charges considerably more for the privilege. The Bellagio opened the Fountain Club with $10,000 seats for the F1 race. New restaurants arriving on the Strip in late 2025 included a Michelin-starred Indian restaurant and a Carbone outpost at the Bellagio. The city was deliberately repositioning itself upmarket, and it was doing so at the exact moment that its traditional customer base was running out of runway. What it was also doing in the process was repricing out the middle-class tourist, who used to be the backbone of the whole thing. The person who drives in from Phoenix with $500 to spend over a long weekend, loses a little at the slots, eats at the buffet, catches a show, drives home having had the time of their life. That person now confronts $33 bagels, $26 bottles of water, mandatory resort fees, parking charges, and early check-in fees. They confronted it and, in growing numbers, decided to go somewhere else. Back in the day, as one travel writer put it, casinos made their money on the tables, not on you trying to afford breakfast. Now, it's both, and then some. The nickel and diming that used to be a minor annoyance has become the operating model. There are other factors working against the old Vegas model, and some of them have nothing to do with pricing. Younger Americans gamble more than any previous generation. Gen Z and millennials together accounted for 76% of all U.S. betting activity in the second quarter of 2025, according to TransUnion. Casinos are trying to adapt, adding esports zones and immersive experiences, but the person who can place a bet from their couch has less reason than ever to book a flight and pay for a hotel room. The city is not dying. Las Vegas has survived worse and will survive this. The conventions keep coming. The residencies keep selling out. And the F1 race has become a genuine event on the global calendar. But the version of Las Vegas that produced the Heart Attack Grill, the city where a guy in a hospital gown could eat a $20 bypass burger and wheel out to the parking lot having had a complete experience, that version is harder to find. Basso says he intends to reopen elsewhere, in a city that still has room for affordable indulgence without apology. Whether that happens remains to be seen. What's clear is that the closing statement he posted on the restaurant's website was less a goodbye to a burger joint and more of an obituary for a particular idea of what Las Vegas was supposed to be. The bypass burger, he said, is not retired, just relocating. The soul of Las Vegas, he implied, may not have the same option. So what do you think? And did you ever visit Heart Attack Grill? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and then check out some of these other videos from Weird History Food.